We're recording.
Do I need to be logged into the meeting?
No.
Okay.
I'm not logged into the meetings. And
Well, I have 5 p.m. So this is Councilor Bill Soms, and I am calling this regular order of the Town Council Finance Committee to order. Present are myself, Councilor Ingalls, and remotely Councilor Ryan, members of the committee. Also Councilors McGrattan and Rodriguez, as well as Administrative Assistant Roxanne Marr, Carol Ann Schneider for Beautification Committee, Superintendent Jay Hartling for Board of Ed, Ledyard Public Schools, and Rachel Mosier, Business Manager for Ledyard Public Schools. And with that, I'll ask if there are any citizens' comments, if anyone would like to speak.
I'm here too.
And so is Finance Director Matt Bonin. No, I didn't say Wayne. And also Wayne Donaldson, Facilities Manager for the Board of Ed.
Wayne, I didn't even recognize you behind the mask and that particular jacket. My apologies.
That's right, school's off, so I don't have my suit on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't hear anybody jumping up and down to say they wanted to speak. So I do have informational items to share with you. I got a call from former Finance Director Marcia Hancock, who is on vacation this week. And she told me that the healthcare numbers have come in, and we were just talking with current Finance Director, Mr. Bonin, and they're up, did you say 2.5% higher than we used?
Yeah, the original estimate was 8, came in at 10.
So 8% was our original estimate, 10.5 is the new number, and I think it was 158,000.
Roughly
$158,000
of additional
increase. So we have a decision to make, and that decision is the mayor would prefer that we not present a budget that is inaccurate. However, I spoke to Roxanne Marr, and the budget for the public hearing this coming Monday is what the council approved. And therefore, that's what we should be presenting. And then we have the option to present the new information regarding the 158,000. I also got in conversation from the Public Works Director that we have ordered a truck, but the old price for the truck is in the budget under the capital program, not the new price, which is $50,000 higher.
Wow.
So we've got already a couple of $100,000 increase, which is what, I mean, we're seeing increases in everything. So my inclination is we've published a budget already. I think in our due diligence, we should present that budget, and the new information we also present at that time is that we have these additional costs. We have not decided or determined whether we have the money or how to pay for them. So the options are find the money somewhere and or change the proposed mill rate. The proposed mill rate increase right now, as approved, is estimated to be 0.1 mil. So that's one option. The other is find the money. And by finding the money, we can take it from the mill rate stabilization fund. We can take it from undesignated, or I don't know where else. So something to think about. If we wanted to redo the budget between now and tomorrow, the finance department would have to recast the budget. We would have to post a special meeting for finance and town council Thursday night. We're within the 24-hour window already. And I don't see how we can postpone the public hearing, because that requires notice as well. And we have to file the budget by May 1st for the town clerk, so that the townspeople can see it. Go ahead,
And
Roxanne.
per the town charter, Bill, you have to have the public hearing on Monday. You can have it no later than the last day of April, so you have to have it.
So we can't move that. So it's,
No.
yeah, all right. So it's a finance meeting and a town council meeting tomorrow night for present the budget as approved with the new information. So Tim and Andra, looking for your thoughts.
Or you want to go first, or?
I'll go first. I think that
Okay.
Roxanne's suggestion is correct. I think that, you know, scrambling and doing things in a hurry, like recasting a budget in less than 24 hours and presenting it in a meeting less than 24 hours from now is risky. I think it's better to present the budget as approved by the council with the information we had at the time and explain to the taxpayers that this happens every year. We get new healthcare numbers late April, early May, and this time they went up. It's just like everything else is going up.
So Bill, if I could, so, you know, this is my first budget season with Ledyard, but so what did you do last time?
Last time what?
Well, you said that this is what happened last time where you got revised numbers and it was different than what you approved.
If I might, you know, the whole objective of having a public hearing is to present the numbers that you have as of this time. And then you have the option after the public hearing to have another meeting and make whatever budget adjustments you are aware of.
Right.
Then the council will approve it after that on the 27th of April. And then that is the actual final budget you'll be presenting for the annual town meeting. So this is like a preliminary run through at the public hearing. And as Bill said, that's where you're going to want to present, you know, we've gotten some additional information and, you know, get their comments too. You could get their comments on how they think you should adjust the budget to accommodate for those. And then you would act on them at your meeting on the 26th.
So when I said this happens every year, I mean, what happens every year is we present a budget and then we get adjusted, updated healthcare numbers. And usually we're right. So we don't have to make a change. That's what happens every year. It doesn't go up.
So if I could, just going off of what Roxanne just said, we have the public hearing on Monday, correct?
Correct.
So that's the 25th. We have to have the final budget filed by the 1st. So that gives us 4 working days from the public hearing to do a couple things, right? It's to incorporate these new numbers into the budget, have it approved by finance, and have it approved by town council before it's filed on the 1st. So one way or another, we're having a special meeting, although I think we already have one on the calendar for finance, right?
We do.
Correct.
Okay. So I think if we're going to do this, my opinion might be is that on Monday, we present the budget as we approved it originally, but also not only just presenting what these new numbers are, but we should talk about what the potential solutions are.
Correct.
And if we have an opinion as a finance committee, what those might be.
Correct. That's what I'm thinking.
What the best course might be, I mean, sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you said it better than I did.
So, I mean, if that's what we're talking about now, I'm in favor of that. Roxanne, thank you for clarifying the timeline there. I don't see that as a big problem. It's being transparent with the public, letting them know what numbers have changed since we approved it. As long as, you know, we have another crack at trying to figure out how we're going to take care of these additional expenses. And it's not just putting them in there without a solution.
And that is the normal process, as Roxanne explained. Andra?
I agree. I don't see any benefit to rushing this and trying to change it and figure it out in a frantic way. I think we have a path forward, and this is part of the process.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you both. Okay, moving on. I would accept a motion to review the minutes of April 7th.
So moved.
Second.
All, comments, corrections?
No.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Councilor Song votes aye as well. Thank you very much. Matt, Finance Director's report, please.
Okay, so the revenue and expenditure year-to-date reports were attached. Hopefully you've had I lost my connection. Had a chance to look at those. I just wanted to touch on a few items. The revenues, even though the report says through March, they're only posted through February. We've had some vacations in my office. They should be posted next week.
Okay.
But I can tell you that taxes from March on the current list came in at around 280,000. When we factor that into what you're already seeing for February, we're at 100.2% of budgeted projections.
Excellent.
With 3 months to go. Yeah. We're going to need every bit of that. So,
Hey Matt.
yes.
One number that did stick out at me, and I'm sure this was explained when we went through the line items in the budget, but the line that has to do with state property, which I'm assuming is pilot, it's a marked increase from what we budgeted for. What was that due to again?
That was because that when the budget was put together, that was what the town had been told, but then after the budget was passed, the numbers came in higher.
I mean, that's a lot higher. I for some reason I would have remembered a number like that, I think, but that I'm assuming that's been like that for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. So
This is related to that new law that they put in place, or the new act they put in place that the mayor's been talking about at the council meetings. That we were supposed to get a significant increase in pilot, right. And we did here. And now it seems as though for the upcoming year, they've cut it back, and that's what he's been talking about. So it was a special public act that they put in starting in the current fiscal year. And that's why there was such a significant increase for the current year. And he was expecting it for the upcoming year. And that's not what we're hearing from the state at this point.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, I recall that. Thank you.
Anything else?
I also have a question about revenue, and this is just for my own edification. The rent for the Lester House.
Yeah.
What's the second line in there? Total general government charge service. I don't understand the second revenue line. The first one seems to be the rent, but there's something else.
I got to open up that report.
Is it a significant number?
It is. Mm-hmm. It's over $1 million.
On the Nathan Lester House?
Mm-hmm.
No, the Lester House.
L.A. Trent.
That might just be a total there.
I think that's a total.
Still trying to get to the report. Sorry.
Yeah, it's total general government, Andre.
Okay. All right. So it's just okay. So it threw. All right. The way it's formatted then threw me. All right. Got it.
You good? Okay.
Yep.
And then just a couple other notes on revenue. As we talked about before, public health nursing is trending well below budget. That's probably going to come in 250,000 under budget. Tuition revenues, most of or all of what we're expected to collect has been recorded. Well, there's some in March that has yet to be recorded, but when we factor that in, there's going to be about a $330,000 shortfall there. Impact aid, we had a concern with that. Rachel had a contact at the Department of Ed, Federal Department of Ed, and because we've only got about half of what we should have gotten so far, but that they're just slow in pushing that funding out. So that's supposed to, some more funding is supposed to be coming out in the next few weeks.
Okay.
On the expenditure side, we have the usual suspects that we already talked about, the Board of Ed healthcare. A known issue that we have there, that's going to be over budget. Dispatch salaries are continuing to trend over budget. And
Is that overtime?
that correct?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then in the finance department, the utilities, because pretty much all the utilities are in there. Those are trending over.
Okay. No surprise there either.
Yeah.
So I have two questions. One is, where are we with the writing a procedure for the Board of Ed healthcare line?
Still in process. We're trying to get some information from the state on TRB, which is the subsidy that comes in from the retired teachers that aids in some of those premiums. So
okay,
we're still working on it.
All right. Do we have an ETA?
Not right now, we don't.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to get through it myself, but we're still waiting on some information.
Okay.
From the state.
Yeah, the HR coordinator at the Board of Ed is trying to get some reports from the state.
Yeah. Okay.
My second question is the fire hydrant maintenance line looks like it's 0% used. Is that the kind of thing it's not a significant number, but is
it 10,900?
It is.
Yeah, that's a one
Oh my word, he
time.
knows the number.
Only because we talked about it.
This is a one and done per year, and they just haven't done it yet.
And the check just hasn't gone out yet. Usually it's done towards the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
So was that was an expenditure, right?
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So that's some of the budgetary highlights. We did get our ratings letter last Friday from S&P relative to the upcoming borrowings. The ratings for both short-term borrowing and long-term borrowing stayed the same. Our short-term rating it's called SP-1+. That's basically the best rating you can get for short-term money. And the long term is AA stable, which is still a very good rating.
So it wasn't AA, whatever the level above stable is that the mayor was hoping for?
No, we didn't get that. We didn't get that, fortunately. Okay. And it's still a good rate.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And we've got the note and bond, the bid openings are on the 26th, and then the closing is on May 10th. For those borrowings. Okay.
So Matt, other than the items you've noted in expenditures, are there any watch items here with 3 months to go that that we should be paying attention to in your mind?
No, I would say those are the highlights that I gave you. Obviously, okay. the big one is the healthcare. There's some one-time, or like we haven't made the pension contribution yet, so you'll see that's zero, but that's going to be going out shortly.
Right.
All right. Other questions? No. Good. Okay. Let's move on to new business. I would entertain the first motion.
I'll take the first one, Tim. I move to appropriate $2,520 from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funding to account 2104011-58244-G0014 for the Beautification Committee replace the streetlight flag brackets in Ledyard Center.
Is there a second? Thank you. So we have discussed this before. The brackets, almost everything that the Beautification Committee does is raised when they spend money is through donations. This is something that would have been a challenge for them to get donations for, because anybody who donates a bracket on a street light on a street lamp pole isn't going to get a whole lot of recognition. It's a lot more fun to donate a flag. Mm-hmm. So Beautification Committee asked us if we could perhaps fund some ARPA funds their way. We got estimates. 2520 includes installation and purchase of the brackets. and seems like a no-brainer. The ones we originally bought just haven't stood up. These are better brackets, able to withstand the wind. And also when they buy new flags, they will have the cutouts for wind resistance. So I'll ask Caroline Schneider, is there anything you wanted to add that we should know?
The numbers quoted, she said it was 2445, but the with the installation, we were asking for 2750. Does that sound right?
I believe it was 2550 with the estimates I got from the Public Works Director.
And we have 2520 in the motion.
I'm sorry, 2520. Yeah.
Yeah, she just gave me a total of 2750 with ancillary expenses. So she was asking for a total of 2750.
Okay.
It's just in the notes that she sent me.
Yeah, I thought we went over this pretty carefully. I know that I talked to the Public Works Director and he got us costs from Public Works to install them.
Right. I
wonder if she
that's it reads here 2310 plus 135 shipping for a grand total of 2445. Public Works can perform the installation, but there may be minor expenses, so we're asking for a total of 2750. But I mean, if you have that number already in place, then
yeah, I mean, I'd love to just up it, but we've got to do some things because we are now with our ARPA funds, we've got more projects than we have money. So,
yeah, I understand.
And it's not a huge amount, so I think we can probably find it somewhere.
All righty.
So as it relates to ARPA, I think we should keep it the same and
I agree
and get it done. Tim, your thoughts?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Councilor Ryan votes aye.
And Councilor Psalms votes aye. And the motion passes.
So
next,
Carolyn,
guys.
Yeah, it will go to the council. It'll be on the agenda for the next
Wednesday.
council meeting.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Oh, and the daffodils look beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got to get
she's
pictures
good.
of those. They look good. Thank you.
Love the daffodil project.
Yep. All right, next item, please.
Okay, sorry. I move to appropriate an additional $20,000 from the Board of Education capital non-recurring account number 210-70101 TAC 58250 for the Ledyard High School Auditorium renovation project for a total cost of $458,556. In addition, grant bid waivers as follows due to not receiving the required 3 bids in accordance with ordinance number 200 TAC 001 revision 1 purchasing ordinance. Bid waiver, the Soundstage, 358 Sackett Point Road, North Haven, Connecticut, in the amount of $341,904 for video and audio. Bid waiver to Connecticut Stage of 459 East Street, Plainville, Connecticut, in the amount of $73,000 for the curtains. Bid waiver, Soundstage 358 Sackett Point Road, North Haven, Connecticut, in the amount of $42,652 for flooring.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So I had a conversation with Mr. Bonin earlier this morning. Interesting conversation. It started with, does the Board of Ed have enough money in the account, in the line item for this project? And first of all, the background. The bid came in higher and we didn't receive 3 bids. So thus the request for the bid rate waiver, and once again, a cost increase higher than expected. So that's the reason for the request in additional funds from capital non-recurring. But then we had the conversation about, does the Board of Ed have the money in their line item for this account? And the answer is no, they don't. Because we spent money on the building management system out of this account before the bonding came in, which we hear is going to be the closings next month. So right now, there's not enough money in that account. On the other hand, Matt is of the opinion that the surplus, and I'm going to ask him to explain all the details, and it looks like he's ready, but I'm trying to give the highlights. The surplus from the past year, you'll correct me on which year, that we originally said could not be moved into the capital non-recurring account because of the prepayment of IT expenses. Matt is of the opinion that it can and should be, must be moved because we have a resolution dating back to 1988, I said, I think, that says we have to do that.
Correct.
So I'll stop there and let Matt explain better than I did.
Yeah, so this is relative to the 6/30/21 audit. And in that audit, the Board of Ed had a surplus after the adjustment for those prepaid IT expenses. The surplus was $565,965. So based on the ordinance that points to the audit, that those funds should get transferred, or it's my opinion that those funds should get transferred to the Board of Ed capital reserve account, regardless of what happened with that prepaid, because that prepaid will come into an expense in 6/30/22. And so that's the year that whether or not there's a surplus for the Board of Ed, that those prepaid expenses will impact 22. So we can't look at those prepaids when we're talking about the surplus at 6/30/21.
Okay. So if we then transfer those funds per the, is it an ordinance or a resolution?
It's a
Resolution.
Yeah.
If we then transfer those funds per the resolution, there will be enough money in the account.
Correct. And also the funding for that BMS system, once that bonding comes in, those expenses will get moved.
Correct.
Into the account where the bonding is getting handled, so that those funds will essentially be reinstated to the capital reserve.
So that the building management system was 115.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I have thought about this, talked about this. Matt is our professional paid staff. He's a certified public accountant. He's an auditor. Former auditor. I believe this is one of those situations where you take the advice of paid professional staff. So that's my opinion of what we should do. That money should be moved. Therefore, there will be enough money to approve this project. And then now that we have that background, then we can talk about the actual motion itself. So leave it to Councilors Ingalls and Ryan for their thoughts.
We did have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When it comes to the SIP, the capital improvement plan, the items that are in there that are approved for the Board of Ed, at least the FY21 plan, those are all set up to be utilizing that capital reserve account. So I do think it's important.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like there's going to be enough funding there, but I think the board needs to be cognizant that the funding is there to take on those projects.
Yeah. So these are projects that were all approved with the fiscal year ending 21, 6/30/21 budget.
Or I'm sorry, 6/30/22.
22.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Wayne?
So
yeah. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to put a bow on that whole discussion, the money is there for the base amount, the $440,000, right? It just hasn't been transferred yet.
It's there if we transfer the funds from the surplus.
Correct. If the FY21 surplus.
Correct. Right.
Yes, then the funding is there. Correct.
For the $440,000. And so are you now saying that there will be enough funding in that surplus to cover this additional 18.5 or?
Yeah, they'll, based on what's in there now and what needs to get moved over there, yes, there will be enough funding in there.
Okay. So it will not impact this year's budget in a negative fashion.
That's correct.
Okay. At least that's the expectation.
Right.
Okay.
Andre?
And these are items that have been in the SIP, right?
Yes.
This was approved in the last budget.
Yeah, so I'm still struggling with the years. So the surplus was from the fiscal year ending 2021.
6/30/21, correct.
And they were approved for the 22 budget, the year we're in now.
The
Approved to be
the
spent
projects
this year.
that, right, the project that's here tonight to get an additional funding for is on the 6/30/22 capital plan.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
If they were in the SIP and the money is there, I'm perfectly comfortable with it.
Roxanne is asking if we want to vote on a motion to transfer the 565,965 from FY21 surplus to the BOA CNR. Can we approve this? And I'm asking Roxanne and Matt, can we approve this motion and at a later finance meeting, transfer the funds? Or should we do that first?
I don't, do you need to do that? I mean, it's a resolution if that's what
I
you
would
have.
prefer that we do it first.
But Matt's saying it's, I mean, we have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Roxanne is asking because in the past, we approved we approved something in the budget, and then last year, the money didn't move, the surplus didn't move.
Yep, I do remember that.
So Roxanne is asking this because in the past, the council used to also approve fund transfers. We used to vote on and approve fund transfers. So on that argument, we should, I think, vote, even though it's in the resolution, I think we should actually consciously vote to move this money out of, it's in the general fund now, the 565, yes. From the general fund into the Board of Ed CNR.
Could we make an addendum to this motion? Or does it need to be a separate motion?
Roxanne,
well, you could amend this motion, but it's going to make it for a very long and wordy motion. What
That's
I would
true.
do is I would do a separate motion that would say something to the effect of, you know, to transfer fiscal year 2021 BOE surplus in the amount of $565,965 to the Board of Ed CNR account in accordance with resolution appropriating Board of Ed surplus to their capital. And I get the exact name when I get back into the office of what that resolution name is. So I just think that provides for a clean paper trail as to what is being transferred, and it wouldn't things wouldn't fall through the cracks.
There also is another wrinkle, if I may.
Sure.
There was another resolution that was passed in April of 2020 where 15% of that overage is supposed to go into.
Yes.
There's an account.
The
high school multi-use artificial turf replacement account.
Yeah, correct.
So
in the event that there is a surplus, I think there was a
there's
minimum,
a threshold of 250,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And this meets the threshold, and then 15% goes.
Correct.
Roxanne, do we need to do that at this meeting, or can we do it at a future meeting so we can get it right?
Right. I mean, yeah, I guess you could do it at a future meeting. I mean, Andra said she'd like to see it done tonight.
I would too.
For those.
But there's also the issue, is it 15% of 565 or 15% of the difference between the threshold and the 565?
It's 15% of the 565.
Okay.
Which still meets our requirement for this project. I just did the math. So.
Right.
Okay.
So what you could do is you could just transfer that 565,965 minus the 15%. And then at the, you know, you could do another motion that would appropriate that 15% to the artificial turf replacement in accordance with that resolution. I can't remember the name, but, you know.
Would you be able to write those two motions and send them in the chat? And then we could take them up tonight?
Sure. Yeah, okay. Give me a few minutes. I'll have them ready by the time you get to the, you know, where you have any other new business, I'll have them ready.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. All right, give me a minute.
Okay.
Just one little comment. Looking at motion, the first dot, just to get the math correct, it says $341,904 for the video and audio. That should be $342,904. Because when I added them all up, it came to $457,556.
Ah, okay.
So you're off by 1,000, and that's the number where you're off.
So the 341,904 should be 342,904.
Correct.
And Mr. Donaldson's nodding his head. So would the maker of the motion, Tim, accept that as
Take a friendly amendment.
Thank you. Okay.
Good catch, Naomi.
Yes, thank you. So Wayne, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Not really. Just we're just looking to move forward with contracts. This actual expenses probably aren't going to be till late July, August.
Yeah. And I would just comment, the flooring has concerned me every year since the critical capital needs tour we took. I don't know what year it was. It was, do you remember that, Andrea?
I was on that tour,
It
so.
was 5 years ago,
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, probably 5.
You walk on that stage and it's spongy, and every time the kids all get up there at a holiday concert.
My breath at every holiday concert.
And I did have an engineer come in that did look at it. He said there's no need for a report. Structurally, it's fine.
I know structurally, but they
So
don't
it's-
walk in certain parts of that stage.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so long overdue, and glad it's being done.
Good.
So, all right. Any final comments?
No.
Guys ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
And Councilor Sons votes aye, and motion passes. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
I move to recommend the town council authorize the Board of Education to proceed with the $103,500 improvements to the high school wood and metal shop classrooms in place of high school upgrades to the standard classrooms and science labs in the original section of the school that were scheduled for the fiscal year 2021-2022, and to postpone to the standard classrooms and science lab upgrades until the smart boards and related materials become available in fiscal 2022-2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So the smart boards are late due to material shortages and everything else. So this plan is to, instead of upgrading the smart boards, do the high school shops, metal and wood. Seems like a good solution to me. Board of Ed is able to keep moving forward, and we'll wait till next year to do the smart boards.
Yeah, if that the capital for this year or the coming year goes through, I'm going to get bids out immediately, so we make sure we don't have a delay for next year.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Councilor Ryan, questions?
So the only part that was not able to be completed of this project was the smart boards, and the cost for those was equivalent to the cost that we're approving tonight.
No, we're not moving through with any of the project for those because there's a lot of interrelated pieces, speakers and stuff that are going to ceilings that we don't want to have.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so
yeah, the details, I am interested, but as far as this motion is concerned, the 103,500 that you're asking us to authorize tonight is 103,000 that would have been spent otherwise on the smart boards and their associated equipment.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for that. I just got a text from the council chair. I gave him an update on the surplus. I'm sorry, on the healthcare costs, and he agrees with what we decided, that we should present the budget as prepared and approved, and then present the additional information at the public hearing. So that's good. So thank you, Chairman Dabrowski. Okay, back to the Board of Ed and the high school wood and metal shops. Are you guys ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Councilor Ryan votes aye.
Councilor Sons votes aye, and the motion passes. Next item, please.
Anything else for me?
No, thank you, Wayne.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much.
being here.
Have a good night.
Take care. Too.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Mr. Hardling, and thank you, Rachel Moser.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. I move to appropriate $2,760,000 to account number 51010103, TAC 53301, TAC G0014, construction services, ARPA, for the Ledyard Center sewer line extension project.
Second.
Thank you. So we did not receive the DECD challenge grant, which would have, had we received that, we could have done everything on our ARPA list and maybe had a little money left over. The mayor had an idea. He suggested that we could possibly postpone phase 2 of the Ledyard Center sewer line extension. The cost for that is $612,500. So the reason I'm mentioning this is that if we decide to do what he's suggesting, it changes the amount in this motion that we're going to appropriate. The $612,500 for phase 2 would bring the sewer line from the Bill Library, where it ends in phase 1. So phase 1, Ledyard High School to Bill Library, with the multimodal trail. Phase 2 then extends it into Ledyard Center along 117 for businesses, primarily for the former Ledyard Center school building, where they plan to do some additional building. Originally, that extension was going to be shared with developers. The cost was going to be shared with developers. Since we had ARPA funds, we changed that plan and said, well, let's use ARPA funds, pay for the whole thing. Then we said, let's use DECD grant challenge funds. So the mayor is suggesting that perhaps we postpone that phase and then decide how much developers might pay or apply for another grant. We believe there is infrastructure money coming from the federal government, and this does not have to be done right away. The contracts and all the work that are starting now are only for phase 1. So we could remove the $612,500 from the ARPA funding list. And if we did that, we could do everything else that's on our list that was so far indicated we thought should be approved. Other ideas would be to reduce the amount for the phase 2, but I don't know how to do that math right now, because we haven't finished our discussion about what projects we want to approve and what we don't. So clear as mud?
No, just to, yeah, I need some clarification here, Bill. In our ARPA list, sewer line was $1.2 million.
Correct.
Because that was assuming the grant funding, right?
Correct.
We put the full amount. So if you take the 1.2, add the 612.5, go down 2 lines, add the 950, that's the amount in the motion we're considering.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, let me, just to be sure, let me do that again.
Yeah, let's, yeah.
1, 2 plus 612,500 plus 950 is 2,762,500.
Okay.
And the motion.
So that was.
The motion is 2,760.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So we could adjust this 2.76 by reducing it $612,500.
Okay.
And that would do phases 1 and 3. Phase 2, which actually takes the sewer line into the newly proposed development area, that could either be paid for in part with developers or other funding.
No,
grant.
Only because of the sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tim.
Only because of the way the nomenclature is. I just want to make sure there's no dependencies of phase 3 on phase 2. Physical dependencies or project dependencies, are there?
No, except that phase 3 is increasing the diameter of the line from the high school to the sewer plant once phase 1 and phase 2 are complete. If we didn't even do phase 2, you wouldn't have to do phase 3.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, but if phase 3, so what I heard just now was that phase 3 is dependent on phase 2 because you wouldn't need the larger diameter pipe if phase 2 wasn't complete.
Probably not. But it's really to accommodate phases 1 and 2. And no, you don't have to do it if you don't do phase 2. I don't think.
Okay. So why would we approve funding for phase 3 if we're not going to include funding for phase 2?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Because
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So if we assume we're going to do phase 2, we want to approve phase 3, but there's no reason that we have to.
We don't need to rush to do that if it's ARPA.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So I think if that's the case, and if somebody can correct me, please, I mean, but if that's the case, there's no rush here to approve either phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. We really should just be voting on phase 1.
The money we need right now is the 1.2 million for phase 1. You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
And that because we're doing the multimodal trail along with that first phase of the sewer line, and those two have to be done together.
Right.
All right. Tim, this was your motion. Do you want to make a friendly amendment to it?
So then the amendment would be to appropriating $1.2 million, or is there another amount that we should be using in here?
No, just one
question.
Yeah, Matt's got a question.
What about the 175?
That's
for the pump.
That was a separate line.
Yeah, separate line.
Okay.
And we, I believe, have already
we already approved that.
Yeah, but that's part of that 2,760,000.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it says it is in here, but we're going to be changing this. So I guess my question for you, Matt, would be in this motion specifically. So understanding that we have already approved, at least I believe we have already approved funding for the skids.
There wasn't a separate approval of the 175.
I thought we did that. I thought we did that previously.
I did too.
I think you did that already.
There was minutes that said it was included, or what my reference there to February 9th.
I think that clarification was made so that we knew that that was part of the whole funding package, but we had separately made a motion and approved it, both the finance and council, I believe, to approve that funding. If not, I don't think it's an issue. It's just, like you said, we got to take.
Yeah, so I'm taking the total of all 4 line items. It's 2.9375 million. So I don't see how the skid mounted sewer pump can be included in 2.6.
So we can figure out those details later. I think the important one now is understanding what phase 1 costs.
Yes.
Right? Because that's what we're really concerned about.
Right. And the sewer pump is a totally separate project.
Okay.
It's part of the sewer line and the sewer plant, but I mean, that has to, if we didn't do anything with the sewer line, we still have to do this skid mounted sewer pumps.
Which is why I think we voted on it already.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Anyway, so I guess my question before getting back to the original point of an amendment, I would just like to make sure that 2 things. One, that the $1.2 million is the correct amount. And the second thing being that's still the right account number to appropriate it to.
That's the correct account number. Yes.
And 1.2 is the correct amount to appropriate.
All right. So yes, I will accept a friendly amendment to change the appropriation amount from 2.76 million to 1.2 million for agenda item number 4.
Thank you. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, and I think we can just vote on the whole motion now. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Councillor Solms votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you very much. Good discussion.
Just for a comment, it says skid mounted sewer pumps, funds already committed, yes.
Yes, yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I have in my spreadsheet.
Right.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. Next item, please.
I move to grant a bid waiver to Collier's project leaders for the project closeout audit preparation services for the Ledyard Middle School and Gallup Hill School renovate as new projects due to a lack of receiving the required 3 bids at the price provided of $64,000 in response to bid number 2022-10.
Second.
Thank you. So this is the project where we have to have an accounting for the state audit on the closeout of the 2 school projects. We got 2 bids. One was abnormally, I think, astronomically high,
Yeah.
and one was low. My only question is it too low? Or do we think it's reasonable?
Yeah, so here's my, I believe Councillor Marshall mentioned this as a PMBC liaison. Was that when it came to the
He
council?
did, yeah.
And I asked about the discrepancy in the 2 bids. That there was such a huge difference in the bids concerns me about the process. I'm in part, and part of my concern too is that, and this has nothing to do with the schools or the town specifically, but we're seeing, I feel like we're seeing more and more requests for grant bid waivers.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're having more and more trouble. And maybe it's always been this frequent and I'm just misremembering, but it seems to me that it's more frequent with that we're granting bid waivers because we're just not getting enough bids.
Yeah.
And I don't want to become complacent about that. We stop and we review this for a reason. And this is one I think needs some understanding.
I can tell you that I read the response that came in at $650,000. The bid package that was dropped off. That whoever wrote that, there was no concept of what the scope of the project was. I honestly don't know what they were thinking. It was like they just threw something against the wall hoping it would stick. It wasn't written to address what the RFP RFQ was. It was just wasn't.
Was that an organization that has ever bid on our projects before?
No, they're out of Pennsylvania. It's almost as if they thought they were going to be doing some sort of large scale audit, but there was so much in there. I mean, I can send it to you if you want to read it, but it just had nothing to do with what the RFP was asking for.
So that one aside, then, is there a reason we would not have gotten, other organizations to bid on this, or they just didn't want to do it for that price?
I don't know. CLA, the current audit firm, they were looking at bidding on it, but their counsel told them in the end, because they were the auditor, it was just too close. They couldn't propose on that.
Okay.
There's another entity in Connecticut, CRAC, that has done that work before. I sent the RFP directly to them and never heard back.
Okay.
Does the $64,000 seem a reasonable amount? I mean, not too low to you?
I don't think it's too low, but
yeah, right. Hard to tell.
Right.
So the discrepancy between them makes you, it begs the question, is this too low? But in my experience in bidding, and Tim, I think you have some of that too, sometimes there's no explaining why companies don't bid. Actually, in my town experience, we had a water company who didn't bid on a major project because they forgot. Those things happen. Nobody likes doing RFPs. And sometimes the reason is we're too busy. Let's throw a high price at it because, we don't have the bandwidth, but if we get it, then we'll hire people and we'll figure it out. I mean, all kinds of explanations. And I don't think there's any way to know if this is too low. We'll find out when they start. Tim.
Well, no, I mean, so yeah, I mean, in general, government contracting is hit or miss. You know, we experience a lot of that where I work, and you end up having single or unique suppliers that are always bidding on the same thing, and you might be beholden to them, which is never a good place to be. That said, I'm kind of curious. Do we have, as a town, do we have a list of approved vendors and suppliers that we use in general, not necessarily for specific use, just literally an alphabetical list of vendors that we have vetted for use?
We have a list of, we have a bid waiver list of vendors that we use either for sole source reason or history, which the council approves once a year. You know, sometimes we take people off of that list, sometimes we put them on. A few years ago, we took a lot of people off because it looked too easy. But there's that list. It's the approved.
Right. No, that's not what I know. That list.
I don't know if we have a list of vendors approved by the town.
Right.
I know in public work, we have a sort of list that the finance or the public works director uses. There's the state bid list, but I'm not aware of any town list of approved vendors.
The reason I bring that up is because if there's a list of vendors that we keep track of and meet our standards and we have a history with them, precedent set with work that we've done with them, those are vendors that we could deem to be reliable vendors that we could reach out to. And instead of just putting a blanket RFP out there, which we have to do anyway, but at least we would know which vendors might be interested in it from the beginning and be able to make them aware of the opportunity from the outset rather than it just being tribal knowledge. I think in this case though, Bill, I do share a similar concern, and maybe Andra shares this too, is that we just don't know in this case if this number is accurate or not. That said, we all know that we aren't the only school construction project in southeastern Connecticut. So I gotta imagine that we can reach out to surrounding municipalities and say, hey, who did you guys use for your closeout? And what did it cost? I mean, New London's doing a ton of construction, or has been, so, I mean, right now they just finished the high school. So, I got to imagine that there's something that we can reach out to the finance people over in New London, for example, and find out, just understanding that, there's probably no thought among us about what the right number should be, but there are definitely practitioners around us that might be able to shed some light on that.
So the other thing, and good point, very good suggestion. The other thing we have to balance that with is we're paying short-term interest on this project while we wait to close it out.
Right.
Which is going to cost us a lot more than anything I think we might save in an audit. I don't know, Matt, do you?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you're at the mercy of the state too.
Yeah.
I can tell you that this outfit, Colliers, they definitely have done these projects before. There's a list of clients on the bid response that they submitted. And I did trade some emails with one of the head guys over there, and he was just asking a few questions, but I could tell I had some confidence he knew what he was talking about.
I recall that our cost overrun and interest was over $1 million by being 1 or 2 years late with the project itself. So if you take that out to a monthly basis, that's $50,000 to $100,000 a month that it costs not to make a decision. So
right.
And this project is essentially to get all the records tidied up and ready for the state whenever the state decides, yeah, we're going to finalize that project.
Also, this is the first time that I am aware that we have hired a consultant to actually close out the project. And we've done a lot of projects since I've been with the town, beginning in 1996. I've supported a lot of the building committees myself. And this is the first time that I recall even hiring a consultant to close out the project. And I think because of the magnitude of the project, the PMBC felt that it would be more appropriate to have a consultant do it rather than the volunteers dive into doing it. So to answer Councilor Ryan's question, in this particular case, we don't have any other consultants that we've used, but as Matt has mentioned, this company has done projects for other towns. And, you know, for instance, if we go out to bid for, say, auditors, we do send the RFP out to folks that we think may be interested in the project. So we do that when we are aware of, you know, contractors or vendors that we've worked with in the past. So this is the first time I recall, not that, you know, maybe other departments have done it and I'm not aware of it, but as far as building projects, this is the first time I am aware that we're using a consultant to close out the project.
So to your point,
so we don't
Bill,
compare.
The cost, the interest cost per month of leaving it open is, I'll use the word exorbitant at this point. Yeah. To your point, Matt, you know this to be a reputable entity.
Correct.
So I don't think it's ideal, but under the circumstances.
Right. Yeah, I can certainly reach out to some of the people that I had listed on their response that they've done work for, and just see what they have to say.
If you could do that, Matt,
Sure.
I think it would be helpful to inform the council when they vote on it.
Right.
No.
You've done some more research on it, so we can push it to the council, awaiting your research. And if you find something that causes you concern, we can vote no at the council.
Okay, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, let me just clarify that my remarks were made in a general sense, not necessarily specific to this agenda item, but in general. You know, I think
I got that.
Yeah,
I got that.
I think that was understood, Tim.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Councilor Solomon votes aye. Motion passes. Okay, we have a motion from Roxanne.
Right.
For the transfer. Tim, do you see it?
Yep.
Okay.
You want me to take this, Andra?
I don't.
Or you want to do it? Oh, okay.
Wait.
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat.
I'm sorry.
Tim's
I'm not,
turn anyway.
Yeah, I'm not in the chat.
Oh, it's my turn?
Yeah.
Now, do we have to, just for decorum or purposes, do we have to add an agenda item? We're kind of past. I'm sorry?
We don't really have, because, you know, we have the item for any other business, so you can just fall there.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Roxanne, for writing this up. I move to recommend.
Please check my numbers to make sure I calculated it out right.
Oh, okay. Now you made me nervous. Hold on.
So, what Matt said, the total surplus was $565,965.
Yep.
And then we're going to take 15% of that to put into the artificial turf replacement. I came up with $84,894.75, which would leave $481,070.25.
Yep.
So check my math and make sure those numbers are right.
I just did it. Yeah, it looks good.
My error.
Rounded 895. I had 84,895 when I had done it previously.
895. Okay, you rounded up. Okay, what do you want to do? I have 894.75. So.
All right. It doesn't bother me one way or another. I'll round so that it's just cleaner to deal with. So that means the first bullet's going to go to 481,070, and the second bullet's going to 84895. Okay. All right. Okay. I move to recommend the Town Council transfer Board of Education fiscal year 2022-21 surplus in the amount of $565,965 as follows. $481,070 to the Board of Ed CNR in accordance with the resolution creating a funding mechanism for making annual appropriations to a capital reserve fund for the Board of Education, adopted on September 28th, 1988, and $84,895 to account number 210-70101 TAC 58259 High School Track and Field. 15% when surplus exceeds $250,000 in accordance with resolution regarding the establishment of an account for the revenues received from leasing the Ledyard High School multi-use facility, adopted on April 22nd, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I think we've discussed enough. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Councilor Ryan votes aye.
Councilor Solomon votes aye. The motion carries. Thank you very much.
And I just need some clarification because I was writing the motion. So if we can go back to item number 4, I just want to be sure I picked up the right number. Was it 1.62 million for the
1.2
million.
1.2 million. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then I did go back and research. I can tell you at the town council February 9th meeting, the motion was actually to grant a bid waiver to Russell Resources in the amount of $99,414 due to the lack of receiving the required 3 bids in response to the RFP for the sewer pump system replacement, Highlands wastewater treatment plant. And then during the discussion, Councilor Som said the installation of the new feed pump was part of the Ledyard Center sewer line extension project, and that the project has been added to the ARPA funding capital projects list. I couldn't find where we actually voted to appropriate the $99,000 from the ARPA project. So I could only find where we granted the bid waiver. There was no action to vote on appropriating or transferring money.
Yeah,
I couldn't find it.
Look tomorrow. Find from here. I don't know if that helps.
So if Matt couldn't find it and Roxanne couldn't find it, how about in the council action letter, Roxanne?
Yeah, that was the action. Well, that was the action letter.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. And then I went back and checked the minutes, and that's what the minutes said.
All right. So should we have another motion tonight to recommend and move this forward? Because we're doing the project.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with it. Just confuses me because I vividly remember.
Did we move it out of finance and it just never made it on the council agenda?
Well, I think you might be remembering the 99, doing the bid waiver in the amount of $99,000. Because I even remember thinking to myself, well, aren't they going to appropriate the money? And then Bill said, well, it's part of the larger sewer project. So I thought, all right, well, maybe it's being included with that. So, okay. But I can do some more tomorrow just to, be sure we're not doing it twice.
Are we holding up anything by not doing it tonight?
Yeah, why don't we do it tonight? And if we've already done it, we can not move it forward to the council. Is that messy? Because I know that we granted the bid waiver, we're doing the work. There's no reason to delay on it.
Yeah, so the motion tonight would be for the $99,000 or whatever the number was, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt. You could approve appropriating the money twice. I mean, it's for the same project. So if it's been done already,
Yeah. So I'll make the motion. We'll vote on it. And if it's already been done and we missed it, then we just won't move it forward to the council next week.
Okay. But just to be clear, Bill, the number is not going to be 175. It's what we granted the bid waiver in the amount of.
No, we should do the 175 because the WPCA is going to serve as general contractor. and do the rest of the work themselves through subcontractors.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 79 or whatever it was, that was for the pumps themselves, and the balance is the cost to remove the old pumps, excavate, yada yada yada.
So the 175 is inclusive of the 99.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's the total cost of the project.
Okay.
Okay. So I move to recommend the town council approve funding in the amount of $175,000 to install skid-mounted sewer pumps at the wastewater treatment plant on Town Farm Road. And we'll need to get the account numbers later. So I'll leave it
It's
at
the
that.
same account numbers that was in the original motion for the 2 million. So
Okay.
All
right.
Because it's ARPA funding.
Got it. Okay, let me find that.
Item 4, above all business.
Yep. So we're moving that $175,000 to account number 510-10103-53301-G0014. Construction services, ARPA for the Ledyard Center sewer line extension project.
Second.
Thank you.
Who seconded?
Andra.
Okay. If you want a little more information, I have the minutes here. I can just read it to you. This is regarding the bid waiver to Russell Resources in the amount of $99,414 due to receiving the lack of 3 bids. Oh, I can't share this with you because this is on my work computer. This is on the M drive. It's not on my computer here.
That's
so
right.
it says here, I'm not going to read all of it, but I'll start where it's probably of interest to you. So it says Councilor Soms went on to say that the estimated cost for the demolition of the wastewater treatment facility's current feed pump was $75,000, and the installation of the new above ground feed pump was estimated to cost about $100,000 for a total project cost of $175,000. He stated the installation of the new feed pump was part of the Ledyard Center sewer line extension project, and that the project has been included on the ARPA funding capital projects list, noting that the $99,414 they were voting on this evening was to purchase the equipment, which was comprised of the following 2 components: the pump station and the stainless steel skid mounted pad. He stated because this was a very specialized equipment that there was only one manufacturer that makes it. He went on to say that the installation of the new above ground feed pump and the associated equipment that the WPCA has offered to act as the general contractor. And then the next motion that followed was to refer the project to the PMBC. And in this motion, Councilor Soms continued to explain that in the past, the PMBC has offered to let the WPCA manage their own projects. He noted, that they did that for the Algin Heights project, but that, Steve Banks was going to work with some local contractors.
Right.
Does that? So we granted a bid waiver and we referred the project and we talked about the total cost, but I don't see where we actually voted to appropriate the money, Bill. So
I think
the
we're
motion
doing
you should cover it.
Yep. I think we're doing the right thing by voting on it tonight.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Councilor Soms votes aye, motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Now we've been doing old business number 1. I have a deliverable that I owe Matt to give him a summary of what's been approved and what hasn't been approved already, because he's got to do a report for the state federal government
US Treasury.
for the Treasury on what we've committed so far out of our ARPA funds. So I owe that to Matt. And he has that report due in April, and that is going to be the second item on our agenda, the special meeting Tuesday night next week.
Okay.
The first item will be the budget. So I don't have anything else unless you guys do on ARPA. I've got to go through it. Make sure that my count of what we've committed and what we haven't, kind of like we just did with the skid mount. We've got to get our split it out correctly. And then we have to make sure that everything is in the SIP that needs to go in the SIP. And I think Marcia was going to work on that. I don't know where she is with it, but I sent her a couple of items that I found that were not in the SIP that we thought would go in the SIP. So we've also got to clean that up. So by next Tuesday, I should have that ready.
Great.
And do you guys have anything more on the rubric on the other item?
No, except that we talked about bringing the rubric to the full council.
Right.
As a discussion
Yes,
item.
as a discussion item.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, good point. Okay. And nothing we need to do on cannabis yet. So I think we are done for tonight.
Great.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good
For hanging
night.
in there. Yep.
Good
Have a
night,
good
Tim.
night.
Adjourn? Motion to adjourn?
Oh,
Oh.
motion to adjourn. I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
We are adjourned at 6:16 p.m.
All right. Now have a good night.
Now have a good night.